Hi, this is Jeffrey Hillinger. We're talking about a notice of encroachment or in violation that I and my neighbor had received on December 19th, 2016. The request was that we take down all of our fencing that borders the west side of 106th Street East in Little Rock, California. This particular incident happened because of an anonymous complaint. The county has given us these violations and has demanded that we remove our fences. I myself remove my propane tank, the trees, anything that is encroaching supposedly onto the roadway. Basically what they're saying is 11 feet of my property that has been bought and sold for the last 65 years as is in the roadway itself. Let's talk about the roadway and some of the aspects of 106th Street East. First of all, my home was built in 1951. It was the very first home that was built in this region of Little Rock, California. My neighbor's home was built in 1957. 106th Street at the time was nothing but a little dirt road, and there was nobody else living on it at that point in time. The county did not pave any of this road until 1983, and the portions that they paved were in front of my house and my neighbor's house, and those properties reside in between S10 and S8 off of 106th. That was in 1983. When the county surveyed the properties to put the road in, they did not say that we were encroaching on any of the roadway or anything like that. I have yet to find a letter or anything from the past that stated that these two homes were in the roadway and that any of the properties needed to be modified. Again, following the inventory report from the county in 1992, the street had been surveyed because they paved the rest of the street, which would have started at T and 106th Street, all the way down to S and 106th Street. That was in 1992. Once again, in 1992, neither of these homes or the owners were notified that they were in the roadway whatsoever. I find this really hard to believe that these two homes are the only two homes that are in violation, and also when they surveyed the road, they should have notified the property owners to begin with back then. The anonymous complaint was in regard to a concern for motorists turning onto 106th Street from S10. And S10 is the street up at the corner there that is south of my property. So I can't see how my fence could possibly interfere with a view from S10 when my fence is a good 300 feet away from S10. Initially what they did was, after the complaint, they went down, and because my fence line was in the same line of sight as my neighbor's line, I guess that's why they cited me. I have no idea. There's no explanation of that whatsoever. The violation states that our property lines need to be 34 feet from the center line of the road. However, I have not been able to find a code that states that particular distance. If that is true, then every home on the west side of 106th Street is in violation of this quote-unquote code that says that we need to be 34 feet from the center line of the road. Now, one thing you can see as while you're looking up the road is that the road was cut. As you look at the road, you can see that there's quite a bit of a difference of dirt on the east side of the road versus the west side of the road. You can see that the street, as you look up, the dirt portion is cut straight, yet the road is not. And therefore, if the road would have been put in place straight, the center line would be in a different spot within the road, which would change that distance. The letter dated May 1st, 2017 states that the encroachments in front of my property include fencing, wood poles, landscaping, and a propane tank. It says, these encroachments were constructed and placed without the authority of a permit as required by the Los Angeles County Code of Highway Ordinance Section 16.06.010. Well, back in 1952, when they were building this home, I don't believe that they were encroaching on anything, and I don't believe that they needed a permit to put any of this stuff in. You know, the removal of this is also going to include things like, I've got my pets buried out here. You know, I've got a small pet cemetery. My dog and 2 cats are buried out here. I'm going to have to unearth them. And actually, if you move the fence 11 feet back, it's not going to give me a whole lot of room before my front door meets the fence. This is the north end of my front yard, and the entire property has got water spigots throughout. At one point in time, they had quite a few fruit trees on here. It used to be all orchards out this way back during the period of time that this home was built. So not only is there the fence, but there's also plumbing that comes out here. And I just can't believe that somebody's going to put plumbing in the roadway. Now, when you look at an assessor's map, everything is straight. Everything's in straight lines. What I was told by one of the contractors that delivered asphalt in an end dump, and if you know anything about asphalts and end dumps, what they do is they literally lift up the dumper on the vehicle while they drive down the road and lay the asphalt down, and then your steamrollers come and go over the top of them. Anyway, I know a contractor who delivered the asphalt for this particular project, and they had asked, how come you're not putting the asphalt down the center of the road the way the plan looks? And they were just told by the county, just do what we say. The contractor said primarily what they thought was the county hugged all the residents and all of the intersections on the west side of the street because there were no homes or intersections on the east side of the street. And if they would have put the street in the center, if they would have put the asphalt in the center, then they would have had to fill each intersection with additional asphalt to meet where the street would be. And if you've got 7 intersections at $25,000 per intersection for the asphalt, well, that adds up to quite a bit of money. That's a couple $100,000. So to cut the budget or to come under budget, there's a whole bunch of us that think that's the reason why the street hugs the west side of the residence.
This is a track map of S8 and 106 that I got from the county. It shows the corner of where my property is, and it also shows the corner of where my neighbor property is. And we know for a fact that my neighbor's property line is true and correct with this particular map. If you note, on the east side of the road, it's 24 feet from the center line of the road to my neighbor's property line. You will also notice that from the center of the road, it's 40 feet from the center to the west side of the street, which would be my property line. So I went and I took the map, and by following the map, I measured from my neighbor's property line on the east side of the street, 24 feet out, and then from the 24-foot point, I measured 40 feet across the street to my side, which would be the west side of the street. The photographs clearly show that the measurement of the street and the property lines are true and correct to the map, and that the road center line is way off from what the map itself shows. Therefore, my property should not be encroaching whatsoever within the road right-of-way. Stay tuned for Part 2, getting an encroachment permit from the Los Angeles County Department of Public Works.